Good knives are essential for cooking. You gotta have them. It just makes life so much easier. The downside of really good knives is you fillet your hand a lot if you make any mistakes. I just had the pleasure of learning the importance of paying attention while cutting, going through my bagel today with one of those long bread cutting knives with the serrated edges. Oh man, did I get a jagged cut in my finger. Welcome to How to Build a Tent. My name is Matt Williams. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for sharing the show with your friends. Thank you for following us on the social media sites. And thank you for subscribing. I just sent out some mugs today. Really appreciate you guys. It helps us being able to continue to do this. It helps support the network and keeping all these great podcasts going. Have you got the book yet? Never Split the Difference with Chris Voss. Never Split the Difference. It's in the link below. It's about negotiating. He was an FBI lead hostage negotiator. And I was just thinking about this. You know, negotiating, this is a book that is really applicable to how we should interact with the world and talking about the worldview. After all, negotiation isn't implying a conflict, and we are in constant conflict with the world. And you get things like chapter 3. It's called Don't Feel Their Pain, Label It. And I absolutely love that. And that's what a lot of our shows do on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. We label it with biblical labels, and we reject the labels. We don't rationalize. We don't sympathize with the sins of the world, with the world system, but we label it, we call it out, and call it to repentance. If you haven't become a member already and you want to get one of those 15-ounce coffee mugs that says HtBT, you also get a pint glass. You get tons of great show content, but most of all, like I said, you're supporting our show. You hear my hands clap together. You go over to fightlaughfeast.com and put in HtBT in the memo field. You'll get that sweet mug, get that sweet pint glass, and get that sweet content. If you want to reach out to me, if you have any comments, questions, if you want a free shout out, go over to How to Build a Tent or email me, Matt, at howtobuildatent.com. I'd love to give you one of those. We have a company that listens to the show, Kidd and Erling LLC, Kidd, Kidd, and Erling, Urling, LLC. They are a law firm that is in Ohio, and they do work with criminal defense and a PI firm. So if you are in some criminal trouble or legal trouble, or know somebody that is, and you want some Christian representation, go check out kiddurlinglaw.com, KIDDURLING law.com, and you will get some Christian representation. They also do some PI work. They're a PI firm as well, which that sounds really interesting. Go over and check them out and give them some love if you need some help and need some Christian representation. I was running today, and let me tell you, I really just can never not run anymore, because I feel like God speaks to me so much clearer when I'm running. I don't know if it's the runner's high, the clear head, or just the amount of time I'm taking to run. But I was just thinking about how we are all part of a story and how important it is for us to remember that we are in a story that God is writing, not a story that features us, but a story that we are a part of, and that the author knows how this story is going to develop. He knows what he is doing, and that everything that is happening in our lives is part of that story. And why that should have confidence, or should give confidence to us, why we should remember that constantly, is that we don't know the end of the story, but we know the author. And that makes it even more important for us to seek the author, to follow him, to go after him, to get to know him, because that's where we can have our confidence. And that allows us to take risks. That allows us to step out in faith, because we no longer need that certainty of knowing. We don't need that support of the false idols in our world, but we know the author, and that's all that matters, because he knows how this is all developing. And even when it seems like there's something bad going on in our lives, it's not pointless. There's a reason for it, and he can use it for good for those who are called according to purpose. So I just was meditating on that, thinking about that today, and wanted to share that with you. Remember, you are part of the story, and everything that is happening to you, what may seem good, what may seem bad, what might seem painful or is painful, or what is joyous. It is all for a reason, and that it will work out for good. If you keep on, don't lose heart, keep on doing what is good, and you will be rewarded in due time. In due time. Not your time, in due time. I was listening to a podcast, or it was a speech that they turned into a podcast, where they were talking about this man was talking about his grandfather and how they were successful. And they were talking about how he had a farm he was taken over, and he had a bunch of adversity that was coming his way. And he ended up having to take over this farm after high school. And the farm has lasted through 2 wars, to World War I, World War II, and through numerous recessions. And he never laid off anyone. He never fired anybody. Or I should say, they never let anyone go. I don't know if they fired somebody or not. That's probably just a technicality. It doesn't matter. But it really got me thinking, and it really reminded me of one of the reasons why we should be striving for success. Because that farm and the successfulness of that farm, that business, wasn't just for that farmer, for that business owner, and for himself or herself. Your success isn't for you alone. But when you are successful, others feed off that, and they get to see a type of Christ where we are supposed to feed off of him for all of our provision. And we get to be a type of that to show the world that the farmer didn't just benefit from the successful farm, but his family did as well. And not just his family, but the workers and their families had job security, that were able to make a living, that were able to feed their families, to provide for their families through these recessions, through these wars. And just imagine what that sprung off of, and what were the fruit of those families being able to provide, that they were able to send their kids to school, and they were able to provide, and they were able to learn, and they were able to get educated, and they were able to go out and make a difference because of this one man's success. And that's the beautiful thing about it, is that there are so many ripple effects of our actions, that when we are obedient and when we are doing good, it's going to benefit far more people than we ever realize. And that's how God made this world. And that is why we can have optimism. And that is why we should be disciplining ourselves. And that is why we should be striving for obedience and taking steps of faith, taking business risk to become successful, to try and to provide and try to grow our businesses, to grow our divisions, to grow our teams, to grow the companies we work for in our careers, because there's lasting ripple effects. And it matters. Putting food on the table for these farmers and the farm workers, that really matters. Not in some material possessions kind of way, but in a practical, life-giving kind of way. And the more successful you are, in this case a farmer, the bigger the farm you can create, the more land you can buy, the more farmers that you can hire, farmers workers you can hire, the more equipment that you can purchase that can build other companies that can hire more people and help feed and support their families that build the equipment. The more this happens, the more blessed we become. The beauty of capitalism, the beauty of success. For some reason in my mind, I just put the Herbalife CEO, I think it is. It goes around it's been going around the internet for a long time. But he has a jet, and some guy's like, oh, you know, how many families could have been fed with the money you spent for the jet? And he goes on, well, a lot were fed by how much the people employ, how many employees the jet manufacturer had, and the raw materials and all this stuff. And he goes through, and then he distinguishes between giving somebody money and robbing them of dignity, and giving people a job and giving them dignity and providing for them at the same time. It's just really great. I love it. But that is the importance. And I think that we need to remember that the success isn't about us. It isn't solely about our own material possessions, but it's the ripple effects. It's the blessings that we can give to all those around us that work for us, that learn from us. That is a powerful tool to be an example for the world, to make this world a better place. So let's go out and be successful. We'll talk to you tomorrow.